Jill leave? She's right out here in the hallway. I need her for a second. Jill, then I should be saying that this is counter to the Saturday publication. Never mind. Never mind. Good morning and welcome to Friendship Village's 2021 Resident Association Annual Meeting. I'm Charlie Stearns, current president of the association, along with Laura Hill, secretary treasurer, and Dick Gast, resident director. The 2020 year was full of firsts, and this annual meeting is yet another first. We are live streaming this portion of the meeting. The second portion, Rita Doherty's annual report, will follow immediately after this presentation. And also on the Grapevine and YouTube and Channel 51 tomorrow. As we readily know now, 2020 was a year like no other. The challenges were beyond description. There were issues the association addressed that were new, different, unique, and challenging. When an organization finds itself in such a position, it takes teamwork, persistence, and resolute action to really be successful. It takes a willingness to take risks, make mistakes, and venture into uncharted waters, make challenges, and operate even more effectively and differently. The association and executive council did all these things. It wasn't easy. As actor Chris Reeves was once quoted as saying, "If the game is worth playing, you play the cards you're dealt." Well, this game at Friendship Village of Dublin is worth playing, and we played the cards we were dealt. A big thank you to all of the residents and certainly the committees, committee chairs, executive council for everything that was done this year very competently and effectively, and again in so many different ways. All of it just showing that no matter what the circumstances, our wonderful community of Friendship Village is still premier in so many different ways, and we know this. So thank you all again for everything that has been done. Historically, this meeting was held in the old Muirfield room with attendance 100 or maybe even less. The primary purpose was to elect officers for the next year. Due to the limitations that we've all faced with the COVID situation, the voting took place during the last week of December, and the resulting election of Jane Forbes as president, Larry Kennedy as vice president, Laura Hill as secretary treasurer, and myself as resident director. As we move through our agenda, it is my pleasure now to introduce to you Laura Hill, our secretary treasurer. Laura, as you know, had this position, thankfully. Laura is tireless, and her competency in fulfilling the responsibilities of secretary treasurer are above the line, bar none, nor none. Very fortunate to introduce Laura Hill.
Thank you for the kind words, Charlie. The treasurer's report is very short and simple. We began the balance with $303.78. We have an ending balance of $61.89. All expenditures were for office supplies such as binders, ink, and copy paper. As secretary, I prepare minutes for each monthly executive council meeting, including the reports from each floor or district. Starting in May, these meetings were held via Zoom. Quarterly meetings are normally held in the Muirfield room for residents to hear each committee's report of past and future activities. Highlights from these reports are included in the meeting's minutes. With the pandemic continuing, no quarterly meeting was held in May, but the officers still wanted a way to communicate each committee's efforts. The committee chairs were very helpful in this endeavor by emailing me their reports for compilation. Thus, in June, September, and November, all households received printed copies of every committee report. For further information, copies of all the above reports are in binders in the library for residents' reference. One white binder contains the current year's committee reports and rosters, and a large blue binder have all the council minutes and district reports for the last several years. We thank all of you for your involvement and interest.
Thank you, Laura. Dick Gast. Dick Gast has served as resident director for this past year in an exemplary fashion. Dick does the kind of job that we knew would happen in providing for the board perspectives and ideas, thoughts from residents, at the same time doing the same in reverse to bring back to Executive Council, to bring back to residents the things that are germane and happening within the board that have direct impact on us, which is a lot of things. My pleasure to introduce Dick Gast.
I thought it would probably be appropriate to review some of the board meetings and highlight some of the agenda items. As you probably guessed, COVID-19 dominated much of the discussion. There were lots of different aspects that were discussed, but one of them was the financial impact that COVID-19 had. As you probably know, in the spring, the stock market took a significant decline. And when it did, so did our investments and some of our investment incomes. But again, as you know, in the fall, the market went back up, so did our investments, so did our income, our investment. But believe me, there was a lot of discussion about this for many of the board meetings throughout the entire year. There are other costs that were involved. Well, we're okay. I don't know where I left off, but I'll just continue on by saying there were a lot of other costs involved because of COVID-19, the caps, the gowns, the masks, and so forth, et cetera, et cetera. Rita also gave a report at every board meeting about what was going on here on the campus that was trying to keep us healthy and happy. And it was very much the same thing that she reported to us on a weekly basis here. The board canceled the December meeting, so they did not have a meeting since we've had a couple of Code Purple episodes. So it'll be interesting to see how that's discussed in the forthcoming year. One of the meetings was taken up almost entirely by our insurance broker team. And believe me, we have a lot of insurance. We have a lot of policies for our buildings, our equipment, our cars. We have a lot of personal property, personal liability insurances, and we do have a lot of other kinds for the cars and what have you. It seems that we could almost have a motto here. Be rest assured, we're well insured. So we do have a lot of that. Finally, Charlie Stearns, our president, sent a copy of the tribute that we gave to Rita on the Rita Doherty Day. And he sent that to Dick Schrock, who's the chairman of the board, and sent the copy to him. Shortly thereafter, Dick called me and said, would you present this tribute to read it to the entire board, which I did. I also sent them an entire copy, a written copy, hard copy, for their records. And from their comments, it was easy to understand that they appreciate Rita just as much as we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. As our association takes one last look at 2020, before we rightly and correctly turn our attention to 2021, each of us takes with us our own memories, thoughts, concerns, joys, apprehensions, likes and dislikes. As we started 2020, no one knew what was ahead. COVID was making the news, but truly hadn't shown its impact yet. That changed. It didn't take long. And feel how our lives have indeed changed as a result. Through all that COVID threw at us, FVD responded in hard-fought and magnificent ways. In our larger reports to the residents, as Laura mentioned, 25 ways were listed as our association and executive council dealt with issues that had never been faced before, long-standing traditions that needed to be adjusted in the chase of new time, and meeting the needs of residents. The list of 25, again, were published previously, so fear not. We will not attempt to go through that entire list. But for this report, we wanted to focus our attention on 4 areas: organization, communication, involvement, and leadership. So let's look at organization. The Executive Council approved changes in the bylaws that updated the responsibilities of district representative. Bylaws had been there for many years, and certainly this is one example of updating those responsibilities to reflect the current day. Bylaw changes also provided for a process of adding members to committees after the Executive Council's approval in January. This really served the purpose of smoothing that process out and leading a pathway for people who perhaps moved in later, who were not able to join in December, to accomplish that. Residents also approved a change after Executive Council approval in January for officers and district representatives to take office immediately after the January annual meeting, serving then through the entire year to the annual meeting of the following year. We're experiencing that. This is what's happening. We're living that right now. And the efficiency that was achieved in moving all of those changes to one time and setting it at the January meeting, we're now seeing and we're now feeling, and we'll have the benefit of that in the years to come. Following suggestions from the committee chairs, the first ever organization chart was approved and distributed to residents, giving us the opportunity to have something that we can look at squarely and understand exactly more how the Executive Council functions. In November, the Council published a statement that described the events and the processes the association performs in the months of November and December to smoothly close one year and move into the next. Here again, we're experiencing that right now. We've just gone through November and December where all of those steps had to be taken. They were taken, and now we move in again, of course, to a new year. Communications. 2, quote, statements from Executive Council, close quote, were published. One directly emphasized the importance of masking, social distancing, hand washing, and more. The second emphasized the critical importance of residents' positive actions and the importance of modeling behaviors that reflect our gratitude and encourage all residents to do the same. Likewise, in the midsummer and into the fall, 4 resident executive council members wrote articles called Did You Know? These were published in a form that really was designed to provide for residents some behind the scenes, some did you knows, information that was unknown or rarely known. Community. A couple of things in community involvement that were striking for us during the years, and still do. The focus group on food, for example, confirmed by the Executive Council, works with culinary services to closely examine how food service can be improved. The group also acts as a sounding board for staff that they can use to test ideas and get new perspectives about the future and the future services for food service. Likewise, looking beyond ourselves, looking into the community further, realizing the significant impact that COVID was having on the lives of other people, including their food supply. The Aurora Association conducted 2 food drives for the Dublin Food Pantry. Total of 4,000 pounds of food, and 1,000 pounds of food and $4,000 in monetary contributions. Significant, certainly in the time, and something that we look at the future. But perhaps of all of these, as much important as any is the devotion of leadership at this organization. And thankfully, the association felt very responsible to find a variety of different ways that somehow, in some way, communicated the level of our gratefulness. Some of these included certainly our most recent Associate Appreciation Committee's work, raising $179,000, a record for that, all of that to be divided, as it already has been, of course, in December among associates. Likewise, in September, each associate received a certificate of appreciation, which was intended and designed to be one more step to say to everybody, we're grateful, and here's a visible and tangible way that we can express that gratitude. Residents likewise, of course, wrote thank you notes themselves, and we gave in June an effort to get a written note, handwritten note, to each associate that they may, again, have some sense of our appreciation. And of course, and Dick mentioned this, so I'm glad he did, the day of Rita Doherty Day at Friendship Village was significant and an absolute highlight in the calendar year that we have just completed. How could we not have done that? How could we not have taken a space of time and said to Rita, the leadership team, here's visible, tangible evidence of our feeling and our thanks. It falls beyond words what you have all done for us. But we need to thank a lot of people, because a lot of people did an awful lot to make this whole year workable and livable. When we consider this list, we're more than achieved by the remarkableness of what has happened. So many are here to be thankful, while continuing at every turn to thank associates and leaders. Perhaps the best way to honor them is to do the right thing. In other words, to show our appreciation, our gratitude for their actions through our own actions, through positive behaviors and the real depth of our gratitude. As we come to a close in this portion of our meeting, we must indeed take a step back and talk about committees, talk about district reps, and others. It's an unbelievable amount of work that has been done in committees, even though they have not been able to meet regularly. And in-person meetings, they have not been deterred from meeting responsibilities, goals, and finding new ways to operate. Similarly, Executive Council who have met faithfully, attended through Zoom meetings, made special effort to connect with residents in their district, adding concerns and addressing concerns, and conducting their own business within the district itself. And that has shown our meetings have been lively. Thank you all. I could not conclude at this point this report without extending my sincere thanks and heartfelt appreciation to my colleagues, Jean, Laura, and Dick. We worked together as never before. We developed a level of trust and tackled tough topics with resolve and determination. And yes, we learned a lot in the process. We learned a lot in the process which will help us tremendously down the road as we continue adjustments to be a different organization. And to all of you, again, to the residents of Friendship Village, our thanks and gratitude. We made it through 2020. We will make it through 2021. As the words of the song say, take a toast to the past. Make a toast to the future. And let there be no sorrow. For remember, when the sun goes down, it returns with a bright tomorrow. Have a great, wonderful, safe, healthy 2021 for all of our residents as we continue to work together diligently as we have, not undeterred or stopped. We continue and we thank you. Recall now, this portion of our meeting will conclude, but will be followed closely by Rita Doherty's annual report. One of the benefits that we were hoping to get out of this new format for a residents association meeting was to have and devote for Rita a significant block of time that she could share with us accomplishments for the year from Friendship Village's perspective. That's what in a few minutes you will receive. That's what in a few minutes you will be hearing about. All of this will likewise be replayed tomorrow and Thursday on Channel 51, the Grapevine, and on YouTube. Thank you all. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye.